Hello everybody, today is June 26th and we're doing business and social stories on Links with Friends.
As has become our yearly June tradition, our first story is from Microsoft.
And it's the collapse section.
Yeah, there's a decent size collapse.
All the terrible things that are happening in the world today we'll start with, and this one is a big number.
Microsoft to lay off 10,000 workers as it looks to trim costs. Although the New York Times article doesn't go into it, but some reports are that this number is actually quite a bit higher, as a lot of those contractors were working in India as software developers and others. When asked for comment, Satya Nadella's like, we do this every year. What do you want?
And I don't remember exactly what we said about it, but I bet we predicted that this would fail.
Yeah.
Because it's insane. However, they're not really stopping it. They're just passing this hot potato off to somebody else in the coming months.
It was one of my long rambles that you were annoyed by because I was like, this is how this is going to play out. And it played out exactly like we predicted. We got in some amazing Goldman Sachs jokes, too. Apple discontinuing Apple Pay Later ahead of new features of launching this fall.
The new feature is a third-party company's taking over this.
Yeah.
Because they're getting killed because everybody's buying now, but nobody's paying later.
Apple is not getting killed. Goldman Sachs is getting killed.
It's like layaway, except worse because you don't hold the thing.
This is not the same as the credit card. Apple is holding the bag on all of this. Goldman Sachs issued the cards, but Apple self-financed this. They're just like, we're trillionaires.
Why would we not do this?
A fool and his money.
I don't know. Goldman was really... Some of the internal memos from Goldman about the Apple card were somewhat scathing of Apple.
But that was the Apple credit card. That's different than
same vehicle, but different lanes on the highway.
Well, it's how they get you with. I think it's fees in the buy now pay later and interest in the credit card. I mean, it amounts to the same thing.
It was kind of wild. It's like, both of these people are lizard people, and they're trying to out lizard person each other. It's amazing.
And boy, has it been a tough year for Boeing. And keep in mind that as this man was defending his company, which is kind of indefensible, astronauts are stranded in space because of his equipment.
And they're going to have to ask Elmo for a rescue, which is amazing. Boeing's CEO was supposed to take accountability when he was testifying. Instead, he said he's proud of the company's safety record.
I hope when he said that, someone just interrupted him and was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
he basically said, listen, our planes are so good. They've been flying around with counterfeit titanium and they haven't fallen out of the sky. What do you want? It's like,
Isn't he about to retire next year too? Like, I think he's just coasting.
He has, announced his retirement and everybody's like, you're going to retire, just leave. And he's like, no, I'm going to stay with this. I'm going to ride it out. I see it done right.
Someone just go up and slap him. Like, get it together, man.
He's going to see it done right, but he's got about 3 months left, so you got to get it done right the next 3 months. After that, you're on your own. Okay.
And you mentioned the titanium thing, and yes, he does have a problem with counterfeit titanium. But actually, one other company does as well, which makes it 100% of the plane makers because they've consolidated, so there's only two.
The FAA is investigating how counterfeit titanium got into Boeing and Airbus jets. Listen, if you're a machine worker, like a CNC whisperer, and you understand how to work metal, you can set your own salary because no one remembers how to do that anymore. And we need it. We need to automate it. We need to take it to the next level, and we can't because we've literally forgotten how to do everything, including make reasonable grades of titanium.
If you're the person who can print money because you know about metal, why would you want to automate it?
But what we have learned to do is to fake the documents that prove that, yes, this is titanium, which is what they've done here. We don't know how much. We don't know which planes it's in.
Sometimes it's the wrong alloy, too. So it is titanium. It's just not...
Correct.
Yeah.
Percentages, yeah.
Correct endurance. Could fail catastrophically. We don't know.
They listed the parts, and you're like, how important are these parts? And it's like doors, struts, hatches.
I seem to recall one of the amazing artifacts from the fall of Rome was that receipt where some metal worker had written to his copper supplier to complain about the quality of copper. And it's like, look at this museum piece that we found about the fall of Rome. And it's like...
Yeah, it's well known. Take a quarter out of your pocket. Yeah, I know you don't carry cash, right? Maybe you can find one laying around. You know those little ridges on the side of it? Well, that's because people quickly figured out, let's just shave the edges off the coins. Who will notice? So Google and Amazon, as we have laid out, are monstrous entities who are stripping away all of our freedoms and pretty much working hand in hand with the government. Could it be that the young folk are getting hip to that?
The headline is more than 1,000 students pledge not to work at Google and Amazon due to Project Nimbus. I would like to, okay, because their involvement with the Israeli government, but we always make fun of Hikvision, the Chinese camera company. It's like, how do you think the headline would be? It's like more than 1,000 Chinese students refuse to work for Hikvision because of their role in making dangerously insecure surveillance cameras and or that have a deliberate backdoor. And it's like, that doesn't really have the same ring to it, does it?
I don't think it's going to be effective. There's always going to be somebody who's willing to do that.
I mean, it's good that we have a big heart and that we want to make sure everybody is safe and has a reasonable human existence.
Why don't all those kids get rid of their phones?
Yeah. There's a lot of conflict materials in phones. Yeah.
Well, but it's Apple and Google.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. They're not going to go that far. Neither am I. And
It's almost like we need more choices.
Fisker, we talked about Fisker. They were doing everything that they could to keep the old boat floating, but there were just too many breaches in the hull.
EV maker Fisker files for bankruptcy after its glitchy SUV flops. And I don't know if it was just somebody making a meme, but they said, wait a minute, my grandma has one of these cars and it won't start. Are we screwed? And it's like, yeah, probably.
Maybe a little.
It won't do anything. It's just dead.
From the sound of it, you were screwed from the day you bought it. They didn't have cruise control on day one. How hard could that be to implement?
It's going to be done in software, and they didn't finish the software.
But here, the youth, they feel like they're lost. But at some point, we got to get a backlash, right? We got to get a counterculture who isn't just following the narrative like most of them seem to be. Maybe there's some hope here, but it's only the rich kids.
Wells Fargo may have underestimated just how savvy millennial credit card holders can be. This was a credit card designed to pay your rent. It also required a housing company to participate, but the benefit for the housing company was that they were guaranteed that the money would be paid, unlike with a credit card. Because a lot of time landlords don't want to take credit cards because then there could be a chargeback, and it's like, I don't really want to do that. In this case, Wells Fargo lost a ton of money because nobody didn't pay on time, nobody had overages, or relatively nobody, and all of the really dark pattern stuff that credit card companies usually make a lot of money on, Wells Fargo was not able to do with the rent.
These people are all they said their average consumer base was people who were in their 30s. I mean, it's come on.
And they were making $150,000
Yeah.
annually. So the trick here was you get points on your rent, and they were hoping that you would hold a balance at the end of the month, but none of these kids did that. I mean, I say kids, and so they were killing them on points. So they were like, oh, you also have to have 5 transactions per month outside of your rent. And they're like, we're not stupid. They bought their coffee and chewing gum.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you're not going to get us here. We know to take advantage of this.
It's amazing, though, because one of the things that I worry about is daily life becoming so adversarial to try to trap you into these little things like this. But this is encouraging that there's at least some generation of people that have gotten wise to that.
It's so frustrating, though. I feel like the internet's just getting worse and worse every day. Trying to make appointments this week has just been an exercise in frustration. Just trying to find a phone number to call has been an exercise in frustration.
Which is helping my mom with some of her, her life stuff. It's just everything is designed to be a trap for the elderly. It's like, wow, this would be extra money for no reason.
When I was trying to find my eye doctor's number, I could not find it. But I found these sites that were oh, so-and-so doctor, here's his info, Yellow Pages or something. And I called the number and it was you qualify for a free medical device. And I was like, this is a scam. This is going to get some poor old person. And there were 2 or 3 numbers listed and all of them were that.
Well, you say it's a trap for old people. It's a trap for everybody.
Yeah.
It's just that old people fall for them a lot.
Yeah.
And if this man has anything to do with it, our whole world will get more and more in that direction.
Nvidia has topped Microsoft as the world's most valuable public company. That is Nvidia, and that is because they are the gatekeepers and the printers of AI. If general artificial intelligence is discovered in the next few years, it's going to be running on Nvidia hardware probably.
But you know what won't be running on Nvidia hardware? Because it won't be running at all, because it was a bad idea.
Apple suspends work on its next Vision Pro, is focused on releasing cheaper model in late 2025. Yeah, you can get these on eBay now for like $2,500, which is wild. That's like half.
But
That's still more than I would pay.
don't get them because there's not going to be any software. This is going to be abandoned.
I would like a headset that lets me have giant virtual displays, so I could have like two 32-inch displays on like an airplane. That would be amazing.
That you think that's what you want, but you're wrong. That is not what you want. What you want is a locked down device, but it's really thin and light. That's what everybody wants.
Oh, look at this. Apple's developing thinner MacBooks and Apple Watches and iPhones because...
So you have to get an even thicker case to protect it.
Fabulous.
If somebody attacks you on a bus, you can't even fight them with it because it doesn't
What's
have any
the
weight.
point? It is ultralight, though.
Oh, you can camp with it, which takes away the whole point of camping. And Microsoft, we know, is getting into the new kinds of processors. Everybody's wanting to know, can they match those M3s?
Hands-on, a day with Microsoft's Snapdragon-powered Surface laptop. What do you want to know? Asks 9to5 Google.
Ben Schoen, who listed out all the things that he did, and as soon as I got to WordPress, I discounted everything that Ben Schoen said.
I have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm going to break out into a different video, but basically Microsoft launched this, and the software is a mess. The AI stuff is a mess. Microsoft has put off Intel and AMD for their AI features for their new processors, even though AMD's new CPUs basically are already out. And Intel's got Lunar Lake. I heard rumors that Intel might be delaying Lunar Lake just because of the software issues. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. No way to verify that. Because Microsoft won't, assist with the stuff they need to do for the OS integration. But the OS integration isn't even there on the ARM side. Gaming performance is a disaster, and developers being able to run ARM native binaries is a disaster unless you want the Windows Store. But let's face it, nobody wants the Windows Store. The only thing these laptops have got going for them is long battery life. It's not performance. It's not that the Windows experience is better. And I think really the saddest part is I think Microsoft's whole MO for ARM is that the reason that you have a bad experience with Windows is because of the platform, the processor. And I have some bad news for Microsoft. That's not why everybody doesn't like Windows.
Ben Schoen loved it. Now, these days, it's difficult. Krista, like you say, you can't find a phone number. You can't call somebody. There's no customer service. Really, in this day and age, the only way that you can actually get in contact with a company, a tech company, is to have a ton of social media followers.
The Verge's headline is how Asus claims it's overhauling customer support after the Gamers Nexus investigation.
And Steve just dragged that everywhere. He was no hesitation.
It's amazing because, Gamers Nexus actually did a bunch of stuff, and it's just we just want to get our stuff repaired. This is a disaster. And Asus was like, oh man, it's taking a third party looking at this, telling us it's a disaster to be like, wow, this is a disaster. So
they knew.
Yeah, they knew. They just didn't care until Steve wrote an article about it.
Yeah, they just don't want the press.
So that's amazing. You should get clued into that. And let us know if it's not actually getting better.
I don't trust it. I think after a month or two, they're going to start going back to the way they were. And once again, maybe there is some hope with the youth, though, because it seems like they are maybe waking up to this dystopian future where their devices are controlling them and not the other way around.
Flip phone sales are surging as folks seek connection without distraction.
Where are the slide-out phones? I want a slide-out phone again with a full keyboard.
I'm sure somebody will make that if they actually get popular. So these people are saying they want connectivity, but they don't want the distraction, which makes sense. And we have possibly a new way for you to take the internet with you. Krista, you could take your ultralight MacBook and your portable SpaceX backpack camping with you.
I could be playing video games in the woods.
The FCC approves mysterious SpaceX device. Is it for the Starlink mini dish? And the answer was yes.
Well, we're not sure, right?
I think there was a follow-up for this later.
Oh, was there? Okay.
What's your luxury item in your pack? It's a mini dish.
You gotta... Plus, you have like half a bicycle, so you can sit there and
yeah.
I want to be able to log into WordPress 5 hours from civilization. So.
I want to work.
Well, a lot of people want to work because there's a lot of layoffs in the tech sector. But one place that those tech workers will not be working, at least not yet, is the new American TSMC factory.
Samsung Texas fab delayed for 2-nanometer upgrade to face off with TSMC and Intel, according to Korean media.
Oh, I said TSMC, it's Samsung. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
it was right there in the picture.
It is.
So yeah, they are upgrading. It took so long. They're so they just can't understand the American culture. And they're like, we really expected to have this up and running in like a month.
Safety regulations, inspections.
I get part of that. Part of that I worry about is like, is it that hard to find people that are willing to get stuff done? Because sometimes I look at like some of the disaster that is the Windows on ARM AI PC, and it's like, well, there's just not enough people that can actually get stuff done.
Something tells me that's not the problem. Now, we've been covering the Tesla GPU saga, in which Tesla bought with Tesla money a bunch of H100s, and that was supposed to train self-driving, but then somehow those ended up at Twitter, and Elon was like, we just didn't have anywhere to store them, so we put them over there in the Twitter building for a little while. The investors don't seem to be buying it.
The Ars Technica headline is that Tesla's investors are suing Elon Musk for diverting the car maker's resources to XAI. So they're saying, no, it's not just the GPUs. It's also the employees and the weird software engineering. And it's like, you promised us this would be happening. And Musk is saying, look, we've got this amalgamation of the AI company plus Twitter plus Tesla, and you're just going to have to trust me.
Isn't this just the exact thing that the phrase robbing Peter to pay Paul was made for?
It could be that, or it could be that just Elon Musk is just doing Elon Musk things. He's like, I had this crazy idea. You guys all work here now. Okay.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I think neither Peter nor Paul had shareholders.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they had, a crew, followers.
Yeah.
Maybe he can use his new compensation package to try to take Twitter private again. Or Tesla, I mean.
It shocks me that, because you just said the phrase, you promised. And if I were Elon Musk, I'd be like, have you looked at my history of promises? And one of those promises was this vehicle, which has not lived up to them.
Cybertruck buyers say they've been told the deliveries are currently paused due to windshield wiper problems. Huh.
Here's your windshield wipers aren't going to work, but here's a rag on a stick with the Tesla logo.
You shouldn't be driving in a place where it rains anyway, because it rusts. So
that's true, yeah. And Sonos is a company that gets a lot of backlash. It seems like their customers are constantly being inconvenienced by them, or worse, and it's not changing.
Sonos draws more customer anger, this time for its privacy policy. Again, companies cannot be trusted to ever do anything reasonable.
So they're going to sell your info. They're probably selling it to AI. Interestingly, each country has their own blurb. Only America. Because obviously in the European countries they can't get away with it.
They really would like to sell your personal information. Really, that's what they're telegraphing. As is with all companies. It's like, well, we could put a license plate reader in our Sonos smart speakers. That's just that's the new hot thing to do.
And Apple coming out with a new version of iOS, and it's going to have all the hot features that you already have, just with apps.
The TechCrunch headline is iOS 18 could Sherlock, quote unquote, $400 million in app revenue. What does that mean? It's like iOS 18 has a bunch of stuff built in that previously were $400 million worth of apps on the App Store. So why would you buy the app on the App Store if it's built into the operating system?
Which is weird, because that App Store is what's bringing all the value to your operating system.
$1 trillion company things.
And if you are an iOS user, you know that they have had a long and bitter contention with any kind of emulator. And they've kind of softened on that, but in a weird way, they haven't.
iPhone PC emulator block called confusing, inconsistent, and probably illegal. So Apple recently changed their App Store policies to allow some types of emulators.
Consoles.
But now not this.
Which is weird, because that's super useful in developing for those things. And Apple had, honestly, you can't really be mad at them for this, right?
This is like the teen girls laughing meme.
This was deserved.
Yeah, Microsoft's embarrassment over recall fiasco gets worse as Windows 11 feature becomes the butt of Apple executives' jokes. Yes, this is I can't it is amazing to me that anybody who uses Windows or the Microsoft Office products on a daily basis does not see how terrible those products have become.
Well,
Like they were never great, but now it's just shockingly bad.
we know that one group that does not see that is the group that's developing it.
Despite controversy, Recall adds a new Screen Ray feature which analyzes the current desktop contents. Listen, some of our contacts that work in the Linux industry that sell Linux hardware are reporting record sales. It's probably still only 5%, but that gives me hope for the future of humanity.
Maybe it's good overall. Suffer now for dividends later. I don't know. I don't think Microsoft's ever going to learn their lesson.
Go check out my Framework laptop review. It's a reasonable laptop that is future friendly.
But what is not future friendly is reading. At least not reading for free.
500,000 books have been deleted from the Internet Archive's lending library. And this is actually a really wild story. I think the Internet Archive was really, really pushing their luck with the boundaries of what I understand to be fair use and copyright. And I just assumed that their lawsuit, one of the defenses was, hey, libraries do actually have some carve-outs by name in U.S. copyright law. That wasn't one of their defenses in their suit. I don't know that I agree with the Internet Archive's use here, but they are going to force a ruling. So it could be good for individuals to get some more carve-outs from copyright law, because right now things are bleak. Publishers are far overreaching in the rights that they have today, in my opinion.
I use that as a way to justify my own overreaching in the other direction. Although the authors get screwed in both directions there, don't they?
Yeah.
If owning is not like what is it? If owning then piracy is not theft.
Oh yeah, if you don't actually own the physical media or whatever.
They don't like that.
Yeah, it's like if I can't format shift a book, I think it should be a fundamental consumer right that you can format shift a DVD regardless of copy protection, which is the kind of sort of maybe a ruling we got in Canada. But again, it's just a tiny little keyhole. The level of uncertainty around all of this is the deeply frustrating part that really wants me to have all of us band together and grab our torches and pitchforks and get some collective action to correct this situation. Which
They just
might
put you on a list for that.
That might be the Internet Archive's goal with this. Like, some of the apparently idiosyncratic behavior by the Internet Archive could be to try to blow this whole thing wide open, which if that's their strategy, then bold move, Cotton. Let's hope that it works out for them.
Banding together is nice, but even then, it's asymmetrical warfare because the people on the other side have nearly unlimited resources to go after you, even if what you're doing isn't violating their copyright, but just pointing out their failures.
Meta accused of trying to discredit ad researchers because that would hurt their bottom line, mainly.
So they point out all the various groups that have been locked out of Facebook, accused of hacking, accused of scraping and whatever, and they're like, no, we're not. It's not like we're doing this to train AI like everybody else. We're just studying what you're doing wrong with your ad profile and stuff like that. And they've gone even worse than that into some really questionable legal grounds in terms of going after individuals. One of the worst things, deep faking some non-clothing pictures.
Yeah.
Which was probably really easy with their access to AI.
Literally everything, yeah.
I read that more as not like systematic, like Meta being evil, but more like the people involved were just so frustrated that they were doing anything they could to make it go away, which is still not a great look.
Let's hope it doesn't go away. And it seems that inside of Meta, there's also a little bit of dysfunction, especially when it comes to gender relations.
The headline is Meta engineer told to resign after calling out sexist hiring practices. Oh, no, that's not what we meant. Don't point it out that way. You need to resign.
Yeah, this guy was a manager, and he noticed several of the people that were promoted were never the good people on their teams, who were usually women. It was always underqualified juniors who were men.
I would like to meet this guy because the descriptions of him and the things that he did, it seems like he had no idea what Meta was really about. Like, he actually believed all of the hype and the headlines and stuff like that. It was like, oh no, we're bringing people together. We're a good company. And he actually tried to behave like that inside of Meta, and it turned against him almost immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, he said like one of the managers was so angry that he brought it up that they like started screaming at him.
How can you be that?
There is a lot of this kind of controversy that is popping up, especially after the IBM Dino Babies thing. There's one of the states, I think, just filed a lawsuit against IBM for similar stuff. That's just it's going to be interesting to see what shakes out. I want to see the evidence from the lawsuits. I want to see discovery. Like, I don't want to just see leaks and actions by bad managers. I want to see the receipts, because it looks really bad. But if you're a small business, you probably never had a better opportunity to supplant and topple the Goliaths in the industry.
Meaning you went from 0.001% to 0.002 chance?
Probably more like 0.001 to like 1.3, but yeah.
1.3 might be your chances of actually communicating with somebody at Meta if something happens with your account. And again, your social media presence is going to weigh heavily on that. But there are some hacks.
How Small Claims Court became Meta's customer service hotline. Wow, when dealing with the court system is the easiest way. This is just wild.
Yeah, this is a great article. You should read this. This is one that I would recommend reading this week.
So why small claims? Well, you don't need a lawyer, and it only costs $100 in most places. So for $100, you can guarantee somebody at Meta is going to pay attention to your emails. The previous hack, which doesn't work anymore, was to report them to your state's attorney general. But the attorney generals were like, there's too many of these.
Yeah, and they actually band together and like wrote a letter to Meta that was like, we're not dealing with your customer service. Stop it.
But you need to watch out, because in some states, Meta is able to shift the small claims court to a district court. Then you do have to have a lawyer, which is going to cost you like $10,000 just to get started. Also, sometimes you might have to sue them in their hometown. San Mateo, is that where they are?
I think so.
And sometimes not. It's still a bit of a minefield, but it's interesting that, one, this is the only way to do it, and two, people are willing to go to these links to get their Facebook account back.
They do it though, and then they usually get paid because Meta never shows up to the court cases.
If Meta's not careful, they're going to accidentally create property right precedent, meaning that your crap that's in Meta belongs to you, and you have property rights to it, which will open up a whole new can of suffering for all tech companies.
Would be how it worked anyway, but
But you know what's funny is they don't show up to court, but they do hire local law firms to try and combat you. It's only that they don't want a court record of any of this is the reason they don't show up to court. Not because they're like not paying attention. They're paying attention. It's astonishing.
easy way to get cash money. Get your Facebook banned.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the most anybody got here was like $7,000.
I think
right?
10 was the
Oh,
highest.
10? Okay.
It depends on your court, like what's the highest for small claims.
But that's nothing to Facebook.
Yeah.
Good news, everyone. This platform's getting some new features.
Yeah, one in particular you're going to love.
Testing new ways to offer viewers more context and information on videos.
Let's translate this. We're trying to train our AI, and it's really hard to do on video content. Can you guys please write descriptions for us?
You know what used to be a really good way to tell if a video was garbage?
No, they're using that for weaponizing it. They're using it for activism for the wrong purposes. We have to get rid of it.
I've seen them use it
This'll
for
be better, right?
weaponizing and activism on Twitter as well. Like people posting an uncomfortable truth, and the community notes is a very, very, very pedantic, irrelevant, like, this says this, but this was actually this. And it's like, well, but that's not really, that doesn't have anything to do with the other thing.
I don't actually know. Can anybody do community notes on Twitter?
Yeah.
That's not the case here. This is a very curated group of people who will be allowed to make notes on videos. And they say they might roll it out to more people in the future, but never to the entire plebs, probably. So
I hope it's only people with butt pictures on their profiles.
Those people have such good things to say about our videos, Kristen.
Well, yeah, I'm sure those are all people.
As a viewer, don't force me to think. Just let me turn my brain off and enjoy whatever it is that I'm consuming, and don't make me think too hard.
Well, we need you to think about these ads, because that is the reason that they are existing, of course. And if you're trying to stop those, they're going to be baked into the videos soon. And if you're thinking, I'll just get YouTube Premium and I know a way to get that for cheap, not so fast.
What is this, PC Magazine? The PC Magazine headline is YouTube is cracking down on cheap premium plans bought with a VPN, and I would add, perhaps in violation of U.S. federal law, because the publishing companies and others have tried to get rulings that prevent people from buying cheaper somewhere else and bringing it into the United States or doing it online. And you can't. That's not okay. That's not okay. This is maybe a little different because it's a service versus buying something. But
what about Valve in Europe?
Yeah, if you buy and activate a game, they can't take it away from you. First sale doctrine. Because you bought it. It's not a rental.
But
it's not a service.
YouTube Premium's not really a product.
I don't know if it applies to a service or not. Like, maybe they can't let you. They could let you not renew it, but I don't know if they could penalize you in any other way.
Well, you mentioned that Twitter does have the community notes and anybody can write them. And that really goes against power a lot of the times, because a lot of times the propaganda is not very good. And when you can counter it, it usually tears it apart, which is why every advertiser and corporate fascist existing combination has turned on Twitter.
X aims to boost bottom line with payments as revenue plunges.
Surely this will work.
Now he wants this. He's saying Twitter will replace your bank account. Could you ever trust that?
Never.
He's thinking like Venmo. He wants to reinvent PayPal.
That's exactly what I thought. It was like very similar to PayPal.
If he does this in the first week, how many people are going to be scammed out of their life savings? Thousands, right?
It's going to be bad.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm not saying the banks are good or anything or safe, but certainly safer than that, I have to think. And if you are one of these rare people who's saying, hey, I don't have enough AI in my social media. I mean, you read this headline and it's like, well, why don't you just go to Reddit? Because that's what it's going to be.
Tencent ponders banning infomercials hosted by virtual humans on its flagship video service. Yes, Tencent should absolutely do this. There is no value in not even one of those videos.
I totally thought this was the other story. I thought this was the story about the social media company that was humans and AI mixed. Did I miss that somehow?
No, I'm confused. Which one are you talking about?
Oh, it's in the AI section.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is about the China hates the infomercials.
Yeah.
Who does? Who likes them? But
No, the Chinese people love them.
Which is so weird to me.
The Chinese government hates them.
Yeah.
Those TikToks that are the really quick, like, oh, here's a really quick life hack where they leave out a bunch of stuff and it does not at all work the way it does in the video. Those are also really popular in China. And TikTok's reposted to X is also a source of engagement farming on X, or has become a source of engagement farming on X. And it's just, those are all worthless. They're the AI voiceover, somebody else's video where they put in a lot of work and it's just cut down to nothing. And it's just like, I saw the video this is from, and this wasn't even what it was about. They're just making it look like something that it's totally not.
But I think this is also deep faking. So you get a following on one of these things.
Yeah.
And then you just don't do it yourself anymore. You just let the deep fake do it. And people still go for it. I don't know.
Some of the most popular Twitter or X/Twitter accounts at this point are just stealing literally everybody else's content. And it's just making it into little bite-sized things. Jeff Geerling had that happen. He did an AM radio with a hot dog, like he caused the hot dog to vaporize or something, which you should go watch the video. And so like, let's repost this on X, and he was just like, you didn't even like link to my stuff. This has to come down.
I don't have a problem with people sharing, but like indicate what the source was.
Yeah, it's just engagement farming. That's all it was. The whole internet has become engagement farming. Hence why you have the natural tendency to just want to unplug and not engage with it, which is fine. That is a good...
But don't forget
But
to
not
like,
right
favorite, and
now.
subscribe right now.
Yeah, right now engagement should be at a maximum.
Store.level1text.com right before you
Patreon.
disengage.
Expend all your engagement right now.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day, cold turkey. No engagement.
Reasonable.
That's the last story, Krista.
Oh, was that it? I thought we had one more. I went to the eye doctor yesterday. You can't tell.
We can't.
Nope. Bye.